Hey everybody, this is your regular reminder that there is no God of the Bible.
Hey everybody, this is your regular reminder that Dan McClellan makes lots of sloppy assertions based on poor reasoning. Let's see if he's going to change that strategy here.
What I mean by it is that the Bible presents numerous different and often contradictory conceptualizations of God.
This is a claim that Dan makes, but he offers no examples or no evidence for why we should accept this to be the case. It's also important to note that merely portraying God in different ways does not entail that there is not a God of the Bible. If you were to take a 10-minute video of me as I'm responding to videos like this, and you were to take a 10-minute video of me spending time with my wife or playing video games, you would get two very different conceptualizations of in philosopher's garb. That does not mean that there is not a base continuing reality under those depictions, which is consistent. So right off the bat, if Dan's strategy is to just say, oh look, God is portrayed differently in these different sections of the Bible, therefore there's no God of the Bible, that's just sloppy reasoning.
And when we talk about the God of the Bible, what we're doing is taking this corpus of texts, which was compartmentalized centuries after all of the texts within it were written, by the way, and we're identifying those conceptualizations of God that are going to be most meaningful and useful to us in given sets of circumstances, and we're kind of giving them priority and marginalizing or ignoring the conceptualizations that we don't like.
That might be how you approach the Bible, Dan, but that's not how everyone approaches the Bible. I approach the Bible as being a record of what the God of this world has done through human history, and my approach to Scripture is not to find out what is going to be useful or helpful or make me feel good, it's to help me understand more about the God of this world and what he's done and what his intent is for humanity. And if you're going to suggest that this approach that I just described is improper, you need to offer a critique of that approach that is not question begging.
And so, in one set of circumstances, we may arrange those conceptualizations so that the God of the Bible appears a certain way. And in another set of circumstances, we may rearrange those conceptualizations so that the God of the Bible appears a different way.
This is more damning to Dan's view of the Bible and his own methodological approach than it is to anything else. What we're seeing here is Dan is making explicit how he approaches the Bible, and how he approaches the Bible is not how everyone approaches the Bible. And he cannot just say, well, this is how I approach the Bible, therefore how you're approaching the Bible is wrong, and assume his approach as the default there. So anytime you have a text which depicts the continued interactions of a person, you could take some sections of that text and use it to make a certain depiction, and take other sections of that text and use it to make a different depiction. So for instance, maybe I take a biographical work of Abraham Lincoln that records all of the things he did and all the things he said. Well, I could isolate the things that make him look really kind, and I could put them in one box, and I could isolate all the things that make him look bad and mean, and I could put him in another box. The fact that I am able to kind of create these two different conceptualizations or boxes of Abraham Lincoln does not mean that there is not an actual Abraham Lincoln whose personality and reality was being conveyed through the text. And it's no different with Scripture. The fact that you or anyone else can isolate some verses and ignore others and make God look one way, that doesn't mean that there's not actually a God of the Bible whose properties are being revealed to us through the Scripture. And so again, you would need to engage in some type of non-circular, non-question begging argument for why we should adopt your methodological approach.
And so, there is no single God of the Bible. There are numerous different gods of the Bible.
If this is sound reasoning for thinking that there are multiple gods of the Bible, then by that same reasoning, we should take your TikTok page to tell us that there's actually not one Dan McClellan. There are multiple Dan McClellans. And the reason I know that there are multiple Dan McClellans is because in some of the videos on his TikTok, he displays good, sound, informed scholarship. And in others of his videos, he displays poor reasoning like this. And so therefore, there cannot be one Dan McClellan. There must be multiple Dan McClellans. And if you think that this argument is silly, then you will perhaps begin to understand how your argument is sounding to those of us who do believe in the God of the Bible.